Welcome back to another episode of the Dreamers to Doers podcast, where I'm your host, Sarah Birkbeck, and today I'm joined around the beautiful table with Carolina Flores, Taylor Quintini, and Jeffie Jones. This one is a treat because we're diving into something that we have all wrestled with. I know I've wrestled with this time and time again, and that's knowing your assignment. Are you called to faithfully build what's already been established, or are you called to pioneer something brand new, blazing a trail where maybe it feels like there's no map for the road ahead? And here's what we've learned as we kind of unpacked this episode, that if you don't know which one you are, you'll typically carry the wrong expectations into your calling, into your walk. So you'll wonder why leading might feel extra heavy or why pioneering might feel lonely. Maybe you'll find yourself comparing your behind the scenes moments with someone else's highlight reel, even though you're running two completely different races. Today, we're getting honest about the struggle of finding your lane. How do you know if God is asking you to steward what already exists or to create what doesn't? And if you've ever felt confused about your calling or wondering why maybe your journey looks different than everyone around you, this conversation is sure to help you. So grab your cup of coffee and pull up a chair. We cannot wait to dive into this subject with you. Welcome back to Dreamers to Doers. I'm here with my girls, and you're probably listening to this in who knows what month you're listening to this in, but we are here in Waco, and this is actually the beginning of our second day. We kind of come together because we're from all over. So Taylor comes in from Baton Rouge, Carolina comes in from Orlando, and Carlos, our producers, from Hi Hello Labs, and then Jeffie and I are from the Dallas area, and Taylor. So we're just we got to come together and get it all done in one fell swoop. And so we're on day 2. Yesterday was a real situation. I feel like that was a long day, guys. And last season we went to Orlando and recorded in the studios there at Hi Hello Labs, which was amazing and incredible. This season just got this random idea that it would be fun for us to have team bonding while we're doing the episodes, and kind of, I think, for us to be able to leave our families and just pour into the content and stay focused on that sometimes is easier. And Carolina still has her husband here. So I'm so sorry. Carlos, we love you and we're so thankful for you. But it's really hard to be a wife and to be a podcaster at the same time. So sometimes it's nice, I think, for us to get away and just be able to, we were all sitting on the kitchen counter just a second ago having a conversation about what we're about to talk about. So my hope is that for all of these conversations that you are getting a window into the conversation that we just had, even around the kitchen as we're all sitting there eating toast and having our coffee this morning. And so that's our goal and our heart, not that you would just be home hearing us, but that you would feel a part of the conversation, and that also let it challenge you to find your people. Get in your kitchen. Mm-hmm. It might not look like this. Mine does not. But get in your kitchen. Make some gals some toast, and talk about the things that are in your heart, the things that you're wrestling with, what's God doing in your life. And I think that's what's really special about us coming together, is that the first night we are always a little, I don't know what I have to say. We've all just been at home running businesses, handling our kids over the summer, all of these things. And now we're here creating content, but this is not about us coming with these prepared messages. This is truly everything you are hearing is our real life, what we're wrestling with, what we're going through, and what the Lord is speaking to us right now in our daily lives. Every episode so far, I've shared things that I'm in the middle of. It's not fully wrapped up with a bow. And so I really like this forum for that reason. I think you can just be a little bit more natural and off the cuff, and we get a little goofy sometimes too. We actually started this, so we were like, Carlos is our producer, by the way. And Carlos from Hi Hello Labs, we were like, hey, what's your notes from last season? Like, give us the scoop. And he just said, if we could cut the yes, that would be, we talked about this in the first episode too. And then the first episode, the cameras turned on and everyone was like this. Crickets. Nobody wanted to say yeah, because this is what they did, guys. This is what they do behind the scenes for us. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's right.
That was you. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. And he said we were all in the same tone. Like we're like, yeah.
But this morning we woke up and we got notes from Carlos that said we have been doing better with our yes. We're still saying but we're moving the tone. We're inflecting our tone a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I'm really proud of this.
Yes, I'm too.
I've also tried to use other words. I caught myself saying, wow. Oh, yes.
That's right.
This is good.
Because we made a note not to say so good.
Yes.
Last season. Don't say so good.
Wow. We really did try to, we were like, please don't affirm each other.
Yes. And really the only thing that doesn't make this like right prior to this recording is the lights, the camera, and the fact that we kind of have to be aware of our affirmations.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's totally natural.
The camera, the fact that you can't say yeah. And I mean, this feels very normal. Absolutely. Well, when the cameras first turned on yesterday morning at 9 a.m., it was like we all went from like laying around on the cabinets half dressed to like, and we're here and we're moving and we have really Christian things to say. No, we do. Everyone here loves the Lord. And that's what's so special is really genuinely, this is the overflow of our hearts. And we are, even though there's lights and there's camera and we put on makeup all day yesterday. I just think I had like 8 coats of makeup on by the time we were done. Even though that's how you're seeing us visually, we're just real people who have come together with real struggles and challenges and situations. And so we hope
and appreciate excellence
and appreciate
yes, all the things.
Yes.
We like a good,
we like standards.
Brand. We got some standards. Absolutely. We talked about that last season.
We
for
sure
did. Of just being like, it's okay that we also like to look good and do things with excellence. Yeah. But this episode today is, I don't even know where this came from. I guess we were kind of wrestling with this all morning. We've been talking about it on and off, but this really came out of several years ago. I heard Christine Kane dropped a podcast and it was talking about the pioneer spirit. Mm-hmm. So what we're talking about today is pioneering versus leading. And I actually, this morning, as we were discussing, I felt like that's actually not the right word. I think it's pioneering versus building.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so several years ago, I was listening to a podcast and Christine Kane was just giving all these bullets about, I should go find it because it really was revolutionary for my heart because I'm listening and identifying with all these things. Mm-hmm. And I didn't understand that was on my life. And so the minute you can identify like a gift on your life or how God created you or for what he created you for, all of a sudden you can operate in that with ease and excellence. And I feel like you can move so much faster. And the minute I identified, oh my goodness, the Lord's given me a pioneer spirit, these things I wrestle with or these feelings, I'm not alone in that.
Right.
This is just my calling. This is just what I've been called to bear. And so that's why we're talking about this. The other reason I think this came up was I was totally rebuked in front of lots of very incredible pastors. No, I wasn't rebuked. I felt like it because I'm just a wee little girl in the corner who wanted to run and hide. So we were at an event and the event, you've been to it before, but you have to get up. There's probably 30 people and they are ministry and business leaders, just the ones that you want to learn from, right? And so everyone has to get up and share their name, and everyone's talking for like 20 minutes. And so I'm always trying to think of something to say that just doesn't require, I'm just going to give them a compliment and make everyone in the room feel good because I want to sit back down. I don't want to get up and talk about anything. I am just a measly little person here, just sitting in the back, gleaning from all of you wonderful people. So I get up and I say, I thought it was great, guys. I was really feeling solid about my word choice. And I said, I just feel really honored to be in this room full of pioneers. And I am like, just such a good communicator. And then, we talk about whatever and then sit down. The wonderful, incredible, very much older person next to me gets up and says, I actually think you're totally wrong. And he's like, this is not a room full of pioneers because there's pioneers and then there's builders. Mm-hmm. And you need both in the kingdom of God. And I was like, yes, sir. You don't mind me. I'll just sit down here in the corner. I mean, and he wasn't saying it to rebuke me. He was saying it to make a point.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that really stuck with me too of, hey, that's so true. He's right. Like I just assume, and that's part of the thing with having that gift on my life and identifying that that's a gift. I assume everyone either wants to be in that lane,
right, or
has it in them to be in that lane,
right.
And I have struggled with that for a really long time too. Mm-hmm. So what do you guys feel when you hear this title and like all our little conversations so far? What have your thoughts been?
Well, I think we need to define what a pioneer is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just
I would
when
agree.
you use that word, I said Oregon Trail.
I also said this morning before we had coffee, I said the only thing in my notes is pioneers don't settle. And Taylor said, so you're saying builders do? Those jerks.
I was calling you out over coffee.
I was like, pioneers are better. I'm just kidding. So I would agree that people are like, what are you guys even talking about?
Because I think, I mean, you're in certain circles and maybe you hear those terms, but not everyone is hearing in terms like that or even thinking, they're looking at their life as I'm a mom, I have a business, or, I'm a photographer, I teach women's Bible studies, like whatever it might be. You're not necessarily thinking I'm a pioneer maybe, or I'm a builder, or what has God called me to be? So how do you guys define?
And also when I said, maybe we should change it from leading to builder, and she said, Bob the Builder. That's so all we can think about is the Oregon Trail and Bob the Builder. So which one are you?
We have landed here, guys. This is where we are. No, I'll share, I think for me, when we were kind of talking about this, what came up for me was, pioneering requires a divine blueprint. Mm-hmm. It is something that only God has a strategy to. And it's why I think it feels so lonely and why intimacy with God when you're pioneering is so important, because you're going to need Jesus's friendship in the midst of that. I know in my life, I may not be pioneer in sort of my industry and what I'm doing. And, I'm a third generation entrepreneur. And so business for me is not new, or the concept of business is not new, but the concept of building a God-centered vision is. And so in that sense, I feel like it's pioneering because I'm breaking ground in my family, and I'm breaking ground even with my husband. What we're doing in our family is breaking ground, and it's something new, and it's something that hasn't been done. And so in that sense, I would say, I'm pioneering.
So pioneering
versus
requires a blueprint, something that's everybody. So, and we talked about
you
this
don't
too.
have,
But you don't have.
like no one has it.
No one's written it out.
You're going to need a divine blueprint, right? You're going to need God to download the blueprint for you or give that to you.
And then we were even talking about, so is every business owner or entrepreneur, are they pioneers?
By
and
default.
I think what's also interesting too is like, you know, we're throwing this word around, and I would say that when I started Refresh, this is what you're saying. I would hear a word from the Lord and then I would do that thing. And it was with him, I was creating this blueprint. But what ends up happening is I have a women's ministry that looks like probably a million other women's ministries around the globe. So you could look at it and think, that's not pioneering something. You're just, and the scripture says there's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
But are you disrupting maybe the way it's been done?
Yeah.
And maybe that.
And in my heart, I didn't go hack the ministry down the road. Like I genuinely, this is coming out of the blueprint that I feel like we're writing together.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm in a field deciding which tree to chop down and which way to go on a regular basis, even though this has been done, which I think we were talking about with business too. Like there's wedding planning businesses out there, but that doesn't mean that you haven't operated in a pioneer spirit to start what you started and blaze your trail.
I'll share this story. It's very funny, but you know, I went to school in Dallas and I was finishing up at DBU, but I was working for Christ for the Nations, and I had kind of gotten my feet wet in event planning, which before that, my resume was I was a nanny. Like I, had no actual job skills or anything. So I was kind of thrown into the deep end. I did event planning. Well, at this point, I know I'm moving back home to New Orleans and I'm wanting to spend time with my mom before I get married and go wherever in the world, And I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. Like I knew my church wasn't going to hire me. And I literally had done the events and I thought, I think I could do wedding planning. Like that sounds fun. That sounds interesting. And I'm Googling. I mean, Google's not as fast. I feel like I was on dial-up. I don't know. Like it's taking a while.
On Bing.
Probably not dial-up.
It's taking a while to figure things out back in the day.
There are people that don't know what we're talking about right now.
It's true. It's true.
That's embarrassing.
You had to wait a really long time and hear like a phone signal to get connected. But anyway, honestly, I came across like 2 wedding planners. That's it, like total. Like it just wasn't a thing. And I remember being very bold. I called one of the wedding planners and I'm like, hi, I'm fresh out of college. Like, I'd love to be hired by you. And she kind of laughed at me and she's like, sweetie, it's just me. And sometimes my daughter, but like, no, I'm not looking now. It wasn't an industry. And then I got experience in that world working for another company, doing catering sales, like kind of learning all those aspects, which were really foundational for me. But then I knew I wanted to start my own thing. And at that point, unlike now, I mean, I do feel like wedding planning, it's like, or event planning, any of it's like a dime a dozen. Like everyone's doing this or dabbling in it or can do it, whatever it might be. There wasn't a lot out there at the time. And so I remember taking the time to like curate the wording and the content and what would my packages look like. And there was an element of figuring out. And I was going to say, I think with the pioneering conversation, there's always an element of creating and like innovating. It's not to say like, oh, well, I was the first wedding planner in the city of New Orleans. That's not true.
Right.
But I certainly went through a big process of like creating, innovating, and again, making it uniquely, I would say mine, but mine and God's. Like what unique role. Because the truth is maybe I didn't want to do every kind of wedding. I did want to reach a specific client, and partnering with the Lord in making those decisions and kind of blazing that trail. You always say that, Sarah, and I think it's such a great picture of what that looks like.
I'm going to bring
the
it back.
Oregon Trail.
The Oregon Trail.
Just kidding.
As long as we don't get dysentery. What is that? You remember the game? Didn't you guys play the game?
Oh,
I played the
did.
game. I don't remember any details.
Carly
That was
played the
definitely
game.
when dial-up was around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to bring it back to the Bible.
Yeah, you are. You're Jeffie Jones. That's what you do.
And my reading this morning that I just happened to be reading was about when David asked, and I wasn't even thinking in terms of this episode, but it's when David felt led to build a house for the Lord. And he was sitting there and he was in conversation with Nathan. And when you were just talking about, our conversation, obviously we want the listener to enter in. But I heard a lady say recently, conversations open realms. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's so true. I think it opened realms.
Dude, that
even
literally gave me literal chills.
It's true because it's right. It's true.
It is true.
It opens realms in the spirit that I think if we're not conversating, sometimes we miss a greater lens that God has for us.
Yeah.
So David and Nathan are in conversation. He's like, I'm in this cedar house, this beautiful house. God is dwelling in this tent and this tabernacle. I want to build something. And Nathan, the prophet, says, do whatever's in your heart to do. And I think even as a pioneer, for you to hear like your husband, James, saying, hey, what do you have in your heart to do? Do it. Gave permission to the pioneer. I think that's what the prophet does. I think they give permission, but Nathan went back to the Lord and consulted the Lord. And in Chronicles, God tells Nathan, tell David, actually, he's not going to build my house. His son is going to build my house.
Absolutely.
And it's this picture, I think, of sometimes he'll give the pioneer the vision, but someone else will be called to build.
Come on.
And it might be actually through your bloodline or your generation to follow that they'll actually do the building. But it's this partnership of, I would go so far as to say the pioneer carries the apostolic grace on their life.
Yes.
And the builder is the prophet. And the Bible says in Ezra 6 that the temple was actually built through the prophet. So it's like the words are actually what builds, but the pioneer, the apostle must see the vision, because without it,
they're very
perish.
visionary.
They see the vision. So I think it's going back to your point from the beginning, we have to know what we're called to, because not everyone, I'm not a pioneer. I'm not, that's not who God's made me. I actually feel more called to build through the prophetic, through the words, but I can come alongside you and be like, I'll prophesy what I believe God is saying, which is why I think God partners you up with the right people because you need both.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was a drop.
Literally, the way that is speaking to me right now. And I just can't imagine that it's not speaking to other people listening.
Yes.
That's incredibly powerful.
Well, and what I want to draw out of your point specifically is like, I don't think we can look at it like, well, the pioneer is better. The pioneer is more important, and maybe the pioneer is the CEO, if you will, or the lead pastor in that world, just whatever world you're in it. And so maybe in your mind or your heart, you feel inferior if God hasn't put you in that pioneer role, or you feel like I won't really serve the Lord till I get in that pioneer role, till he calls me there.
But you're actually longing for something that's not yours.
That's right.
And you
That's
will
right.
never that orphan spirit.
It's going to get on you.
It's going to get on you if you don't stop.
Because the orphan thinks what they have is not sufficient.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Take the lap. Take the lap. She took the lap. Yes. It's episode 1
in the morning
for the lap to lap.
That was so good. But I didn't get to run as much as I would have normally.
Not a lot of space.
You run this whole
in
house.
the group text, to give context to that lap around in the group text, we are, if someone says something, it's like, it's hitting different this morning. It's like, we all just say we're taking a lap and the little runner emojis on there. Carolyn uses that often.
I do that often.
You can change it to
I feel like it's also the
why am I always?
I know.
Guys, I got to get it out.
Man,
I've got
so
a really funny, kind of embarrassing story around this. So a while ago, a couple of years ago, I go to this leadership conference thing, and the first thing they have us do is take this test. Maybe some of you know, called the Clifton Strengths Finder test. If you've heard of it. If you don't know, it's in short, it's basically like these scientists, data, human psychology people got together and put together a list of like 30 or 40 attributes that essentially everybody carries. And depending on how you answer this questionnaire of however many 100 questions, it'll come out what your top strengths are. And the idea is that based on this data, you can then work off of your strengths instead of trying to fix what you're not good at. You just build upon your strengths. Incredible concept, all the things. I look at this list of attributes, you do the test before and then you come and then in the conference, you get your results. And so I do the thing. And there's like a part of there on there that's like very relational. So like, I think kindness is one of them and like, relationship, all these different things. And I'm thinking, surely like, these are my strengths. This is who I am. I'm the empathy's one of them, all these things. My top 5, y'all, not one relational attribute. Like literally my top 5 are like strategic, futuristic, execution. Like it's nothing to do with, and so then I'm looking for the relational, surely top 10.
Yeah.
No. Empathy is like number 19, like down.
She has no
down.
I'm not coming to you next time. I'm crying.
I was like, I was literally shocked.
Yeah.
Shell shocked. I mean, I'm texting Carlos.
Disappointed.
Can you believe this? This must be wrong. This is not who I am. And then I start reading through what these attributes actually represent. Because the cool thing is that then it's not just, okay, well, you're top 5 and this is who you are. It's how they relate to the rest of where the other attributes land. It gives you this very unique profile of kind of who you are. And so I start reading, I'm like, wow, this is actually, and it's interesting because the things that were in my top are the things where I actually come alive. And as a believer, when you pair that with how God has made you and the things God speaks to you, it all just kind of like, like, wait, I'm not, it's okay that I'm not these things that I thought I had to be, that I thought I wanted to be. Right. This is who I am. And the moment I leaned into those things is where I've come alive. Things began to unlock. And now we can be where we are. And so I say all that to say to your points of like, I think self-awareness, listening to who God, because God was telling me those things.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to hear it because I thought, but that's not what makes me a good person. That's not what makes me, how I want others to perceive me because fear of man.
That's right.
But it's also
I don't want to disappoint.
that I feel like you can step into a false humility too.
1,000%.
Like because there's two different, and again, one's not better than the other.
Right.
There's this feeling of, I know for me as the one kind of like out front, it's almost like, I don't want to be out here.
Yeah.
And I'm busy thinking, I think everyone else wants to be out here. And actually they probably deserve it more than I do, or they would do a better job, and you get in this mindset rather than stepping into who God has called you to be and what he's called you to step into. I'm too busy worrying about, like I was even talking about this podcast. I'm like, surely I'm even thinking that I'm like, surely you just want to have your own podcast or everyone. And you guys should, if you wanted to, like you can, everyone is free to have your own, but in my mind, that's how I'm thinking like, oh, I never want to hold anyone to be a part of the building, but now I'm robbing you of your calling because you're called to come alongside and build and prophesy and now I'm robbing you of your calling because I'm too worried that you don't know where you're supposed to be operating.
Right.
And I'm not secure in my identity and I'm worried about you not being secure in your identity. So this is why it's powerful to understand your lane and what God's calling you to and how he's
understand your lane, what God's calling you to, and the people he's put around you.
That's right.
Because even our husbands started a company a couple years ago, and my husband, Chris, knew your husband was a builder. Like he knew he could build it up. And my husband's a pioneer. So he sees things. He's a visionary. He can see it. He's started a company from the ground up. He knows it will take time. Right. It will take risk. It'll take sweat. I mean, it's just like even the sweat equity of like, I'm pouring in, I'm laboring, I'm building a foundation, or I'm laying a foundation. But he knew, he was wise enough to know, the pioneer is wise enough to know, I cannot do this alone. I have to have people. Yeah. And I think that probably is a danger that we can all fall into. Probably especially pioneers, because it probably is lonely. And I'm speaking just, just even conversations we've had together.
Absolutely.
Like it can be lonely at the front.
Yeah.
It can be lonely at the top, even in church leadership, it can be very lonely. And so it's imperative that we were not called to do this.
It's funny because James will come home and share things that are happening at work. And I immediately am like, I bet Chris is feeling like this. And I'm able to tell him, I really think Chris will be thinking this or feeling this or, and James's perspective on it is all different. That's another really interesting thing about me feeling called to pioneer and him as a builder. And he's identified it and he is not upset about it. Like that is what he knows. Like he comes home and he's like, I love the support role.
Because you enjoy and
don't want to be out front. I don't even want to be seen as none of that is bothersome, which in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, well, wouldn't you want that to be your thing? Or not at all, because that you are functioning in your appropriate calling. We were talking about too, what was interesting is that he had sold a company where, again, he came in and he was a builder. He was an owner, but also a builder in the company, and he brought it kind of to the finish line. And then we sold, and we went through a season where I think he was probably identifying that that's what it was like he needed his next, where am I going to come up alongside next? And talking about alignments, it's like we had gotten in some of the wrong alignments that took us kind of down a 5-year, 6-7 year track of, because we had aligned inappropriately.
And you even have the example. I mean, I've heard Chris say this a lot in business, but like every David needs a Jonathan.
Yes.
Everyone needs that support, and a Jonathan will be called to support a David.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You won't have to worry about there being like a tension in that. And so even that, I think it's important to identify, what has God put in my heart to do? And what I love too, even about David saying, I want to build a house for the Lord, and God saying, that's actually not what I'm calling you to do, is that he was still called a man after my own heart.
Oh, yeah.
As a pioneer, he knew what needed to happen, that God needed, and of course God says, I don't dwell in the building. I never have, but he saw his heart. Like, I want to build something. I want to make something worthy of the God I serve. And I think that's the heart of the pioneer. I want to blaze a trail for the glory of God, like in its purest sense. And the builder can come alongside and say, I want to help support that.
I saw this mindsets of a pioneer versus mindsets of a builder, and pioneers' mindsets are explorers, risk takers, and rule breakers. So it's like, I couldn't relate more. Guys, if there is a rule, I am going to, I think I explain myself often as, do not stick me in a box.
Yes.
You put me in a box, even in your brain, I'm going to break out of that sucker. Okay. And then builders' mindset is strategist, problem solvers, and architects, which I could not. I mean, it's so funny. I just feel like seeing that with James being married to having both. And like, those 3 words could not explain James Birkbeck more.
Absolutely. And I do think we were talking about earlier too, what's interesting is we also can't put God in a box of like, well, he called me to be a builder right now, and I'm going to just build the rest of my life. Or I'm a pioneer right now. It is interesting how maybe the Lord moves us in and out of seasons.
Absolutely.
And maybe he has you in a building moment because one day down the road, he's going to call you to be a pioneer, and maybe that's totally out of your comfort zone. There could be so many things.
Absolutely.
I think even you could be wired to be a builder like James, but you're pioneering maybe a legacy for your family where you're the first one to go to college. You're the first one to step out and become an entrepreneur. You're the first one to say, I'm not going to any college and I'm going to serve the Lord and, be in the ministry, whatever it might be. But it is interesting how maybe they can both work in our lives, whether it's in different seasons or maybe even at the same time, but in different ways.
Sure.
And you have to I think you have to be sensitive to read the room. Read your heart. And just be attuned and aware to the wiring and the design the Lord may have for you in a unique way.
I was going to say, I read that pioneering requires faith, building requires faithfulness. And I think that's, to the point of like, the pioneering, you might you might need that faith. You have no idea what this outcome, what's going to be. Jeffie, you said earlier, pioneers may not even see the fruit. They may just, their only role may be to put this out, cast the vision,
set the fire.
That's right. Yeah.
Someone else, you know, and we've had this conversation where I struggled for a long time because I'm like, man, I feel like I start all these things and I'm never the one to finish it. It's like I hand off. I start this and I hand off. And that was so incredibly frustrating. And the lie that came upon me was you're not a finisher, you're a quitter. You're not, you can't keep your hands on anything. You just jump onto the next thing, And I'm like, but then I look back and I'm like, wait, but I started that, but that's still running. Yeah. It's not under me. It's not under, but that's still going. I started this. These people took it over and it's running. Like, so maybe, maybe it's just, I don't get to benefit from the fruit of that would
reap
be
the harvest.
Reap that harvest. But can I be honest? I'm actually okay with it. Because I get so bored.
Because you're a starter.
Yes. And the reality is I would get so bored. I mean, I'm the girl that I'm like,
out.
All right, who wants a new logo? Time to get refreshed the website.
She literally, she is
just bought a
her
domain.
plate is so full. And literally we're in the bathroom when she's like, I could just jazz up that website for you. I do it for fun. Like it's no problem. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Just now?
This morning. Oh gosh. She's like, I give you the code. I go in the back end. It's just fun for me. I'm like, oh my gosh. But I was going to say, although you may not feel like you're reaping the reward in the here and now and still a part of something, I do believe you're a part of it in heaven.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Oh,
Amen.
sure.
I feel like you are a part of reaping that reward because you stepped out and you started something.
Right. And you're, I mean, and not carte blanche either to be like, poof, poof.
Right.
Like, that may be ADHD. I know social media is convincing us that we all have ADHD.
Yes.
And maybe
It could be very true.
But I was thinking about I feel like Moses and Joshua could be a really great example. And even what you're talking about, the prophetic coming in, which is also funny because even just, I think about this. We do prophetic ministry for Refresh and I will get words for the team. Like the Lord will stir up my spirit for the team. And maybe there's like, 6 of us on the team. And so I just feel like the Lord gives me things to be praying over you guys and words. But man, we go to pray over. It's like, hey, can the team pitch in? We're all going to pray for prophetic words for you. I'm like, rocks. I got nothing. And I'm not saying I can't operate in the prophetic or the Lord doesn't give me prophetic utterances or prophetic messages. But I am just like, how beautiful that we need each other. And Moses and Joshua, it's like you think Moses, trailblazer of all trailblazers, right? Like he is quite literally on the Oregon Trail, blazing it to the promised land. But guess who prophetically can see it and goes into the land to spy it out and comes back to say, this is what I've seen. This is what God is saying. And then, Moses never even goes in. And it's Joshua who gets to lead the people in. And it's not that doesn't take away from Moses and his role
his
in
legacy.
all of it.
I just want to follow that up with the scripture in 1 Corinthians. I know we're probably super familiar with the spiritual gifts. We've all been given a different gift, but I just love this reminder, especially in light of pioneering, building, whatever your role is, your assignment is. And like you said, it can change. I know there can be some shifts in it all, but obviously Paul is talking about these different gifts that we're all given, but it says in verse 12, on chapter 12, 1 Corinthians, for just as the body is one and yet has many parts, and all the parts, though many, form one body, so it is with Christ. For the human body does not consist of one part, but of many. And if the foot were to say, because I'm not the hand, I'm not a part of the body, it's contrary to the wholeness of who God's created us to be.
That's right.
So I do think it's important. And I love your transparency of being a pioneer, because not everyone will be called to that, and that's okay.
Mhm.
But like, you still need those that are called to be the hands and feet and just serve, like Taylor A.
Yeah.
Like her grace gift on design and serving and
Absolutely.
just knowing the perfect set. Like, it's a beautiful grace gift on her life
Yes.
that we all need and benefit from in the body because of the gift that she carries that might not be, seen as much
That's
on the
right.
front, but
Sure.
just
Yeah.
as necessary to the
Absolutely.
body, whole
Yes.
and healthy.
Yes.
And for us to even move forward, I'm like, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for everyone in the back, especially Taylor A, like in the background, actually moving the ship forward. And
Mhm.
Yeah. Says the ones that are unseen are actually the most important parts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's true with our
Yes.
body.
Yeah, it's
you can't
the
see our
same.
lungs, you can't see our
Yeah.
hearts, but like,
Absolutely.
they're the organs that are crucial to
Yeah.
our livelihood.
Yes.
yeah, and it's like we can operate without ears and eyes and a nose. And I mean, we would look funny, but we can do without those things.
Mhm.
But it's the unseen things that you don't have and
Mhm.
you're not alive anymore.
Right.
And I think that's a good charge for just the body of Christ in
Yeah.
general to get whole again
Yes.
in their assignment
Yeah.
and what they're called to.
Come on. Get whole again in
Get
your
whole
assignment.
again.
Does anyone have, we didn't even go through questions or anything. I'm like, who else
This is
has
fine.
something? This was really
This is
good.
good.
Yeah.
We got to close this out with the Doers Challenge. What's it going to be this week, guys? Just so we know, we've gone off note on every Doers Challenge. But I really like that. And I think this week we just, and I want to do the same because we can always refine what God is asking of us and
Absolutely.
what he's asking us to
We
step
should
into. Yes. And even just more boldness of,
Yeah.
oh, this really is, even having this conversation, I've gained so much clarity and boldness and understanding. And so take time this week as your Doers Challenge to just spend time with the Lord and ask him.
Mhm.
If you don't know, if you're sitting there and thinking, I'm not sure even what you guys are talking about, just ask him and he will begin to show you how he wants you to understand how he made you
Mhm,
because
right.
he made you and it was,
Yes.
you are his craftsmanship. It's
Right.
beautiful to him. And so he wants you to understand how he's designed you. So take time, ask him.
Can I add one more thing
Yes.
for the
please
Doers
do.
Challenge?
Oh yeah.
Since
Is
I
it to
added it
read
yesterday.
1 John?
No, that was another challenge. But do read 1 Corinthians 12.
Yes.
Do read it. Because it
1
will encourage
Corinthians
you.
12.
It will encourage you
Okay.
in the gifts that you're called to and what God says about if one part of the
I
body
love
is
that,
suffering,
Jeffie. Yes.
the whole, all of us suffer.
Yes.
If you have a gift on your life to, I don't know, if it's to prophesy, if it's to serve and you're not doing it, we're all suffering.
Yeah, that's
Even
right.
if we don't understand it, we all are. And
That's
so
right.
encouragement.
And if you feel frustrated,
Yes.
like that's probably a big indication. If you feel frustrated in your roles, like maybe you're not in the right lane,
That's
or
right.
maybe you're out of alignment
Mhm.
with the rest of the body and the unique way he has called you. So
Yeah. Okay. So read Corinthians 12 and then, and before you do, ask the Lord,
Yes.
how do you see me?
Mhm.
Yes.
What lane am I in?
Bob the Builder or
Is it
Oregon
Trail?
Trailblazer.
I just see those little.
And God has a sense of humor. So if you happen to see a Bob the Builder shirt at Target that day,
Oh my
you'll
gosh.
be like, oh, he's calling me a
It's
builder.
going to be on the license plate.
Yes, it could very well. Yeah,
And
pay
if it
attention,
is,
girls.
You
Pay attention.
will know. Okay, guys. Until next time.